The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect their views and opinions for the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees. Hello, it's Mark Miller again with Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers, and we are here at Denny's Restaurant in Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Washington. We're having our annual Christmas, I don't want to call it a pageant, though it would be kind of nice to call it a pageant, but we always have a Christmas show. We've been doing it the last few years. This year, I managed to rope in a whole bunch of authors, including some newer members of KLAW, to actually come down and maybe read poems or read short stories and things like that. Not only Christmas related, but also uplifting stories that kind of fit into the time and the period of Christmas, where hopefully all of us are trying to be a little bit uplifting. So if you hear a bunch of noise in the background, or people coughing, or people dropping silverware, it's because we're at a restaurant. And thanks to my Blue Forge and the Blue Forge Film Division, they're here doing this for me because I couldn't do this on my own. So sit back, relax, listen to a whole bunch of nice stories and a little bit of poems thrown in, and enjoy yourself here just before Christmas. Thank you.
Stockings hung, lights are strung, cookies mixed up, baked and iced. I think I've been awfully nice. But the laundry's piled, the kids need fed, and I can't remember when I last made my bed. I think my kitchen might still have some mice. Maybe Santa won't check his list twice.
Merry meet as we gather around the snow blankets the ground. Burn the Yule log on this longest night, the flames burning so bright. We gather to feast in good cheer, blessed wheel of the year.
What do you choose? What if you chose to be kind to everyone you meet? Could you be happier if this was something you repeat? What if you chose to do an act of kindness each and every day? Could you be happier if true goodness you convey? What if you chose to appreciate the beauty in nature? Could you be happier if these moments you'd capture? What if you chose to tell your loved ones how much that you care? Could you be happier if these special words you'd share? What if you chose to listen to others, not just hear what they say? Could you be happier and appreciate what you have each day? What if you chose to tell someone how wonderful they are? Could you be happier if you made others feel like a star? What if you chose to give your time to someone lonely, showing you care? Could you be happier if you laid your heart bare? What if you chose to share a smile with those you chance to meet? Could you be happier if you do something sweet? What if you chose to give others positive words, not something you buy? Could you be happier if you give self-reflection a try? What if you chose to forgive others if they made you feel small? Could you be happier if you choose to stand tall? What if you chose to do service and help others in need? Could you be happier if you help others succeed? What if you chose to make a difference while you're here on this earth? Could you be happier if you hold dear your own worth? What if you chose to give back to your community and answer the call? Could you be happier if you helped support them all? What if you chose to accept people for their character and good deeds? You can do nothing or help someone in this world with basic needs. What will you choose this holiday season and beyond?
I spent most of my childhood in the tropical state of Florida. My brother, sister, and I had never seen snow. We all knew about snow, though. Literature for kids is full of stories involving snow, including enticing pictures. Delicate ice crystals falling from the sky, snowball fights, snowmen sledding down hills, snow cream. It all sounded magical to Florida kids. And somehow snow is linked to the perfect Christmas. Even adult stories and movies imply that Christmas just isn't complete without snow. But neither snow nor Christmas was on our minds in the late summer of 1961. My mother, brother, sister, and I waited for my father to come home from an errand. He would take the whole family bowling that evening. Maybe as a 10-year-old, I would make my first spare. But my father didn't come. To our surprise, a police car stopped in front of the house. The deputy walked slowly to our front door. He told us that my father had been killed in an automobile accident. Within an instant, my world simply stopped. There would be no more fishing trips, no more playing catch in the yard, no more goodnight kisses. What reason was there to continue living? Within a few days, we moved away from all we knew to my mother's home state, Alabama. Everything there seemed different. People talked funny. The other kids played games that I didn't understand. Life wasn't death for me, but it didn't quite seem like living either. Eventually, a joyless Christmas approached. The season just wasn't the same without my father, and I couldn't even imagine what Christmas Day would be like. All of our family traditions involved him. In the late afternoon of Christmas Eve, a cold wind started to blow. The sky clouded over, and a few beautiful snowflakes started to come down, very unusual for Alabama. No weather report had predicted snow. Even the old-timers were surprised. During the evening, the snowfall intensified. Who cared about presents or Santa coming? My brother, sister, and I spent every minute watching the snow from the windows. On Christmas morning, 6 inches of crystal cold purity covered the world outside. And to my eternal joy and amazement, there under the Christmas tree, a brand new sleigh waited. The first one I had ever seen. It was a miracle. Either that or Santa got really lucky. On Christmas Day, we played outside doing all the things with snow that we had heard about until we were nearly frozen. Then I got the strangest new feeling. Life was still worth living. Somebody who was able to make snow, would look out for me. The strange new feeling was hope. Before my father died, I'd never needed any hope. Now hope said, everything will be all right. Have you ever seen a young father or mother who weren't full of hope as they cradled their new baby? Probably not. At Christmas, all of us have a new baby, the baby Jesus. That baby is God's gift of hope for all of us, the essence of Christmas. Jesus' hope says, everything will be all right.
A number of years ago, Santa Claus was sitting in his favorite chair in the elves' workshop. He had a very serious look on his face. He was surrounded by toys, all kinds of toys. There were toy trains, rocking horses, little red wagons, rocket blasters, and many more. He should have been happy, but he had a problem, a big problem. Every previous year, he had come up with an idea for a new toy to be built by his crew of elves. This year, he hadn't been able to think of anything new, and Christmas was coming up fast. Santa rose from his chair and began to walk around the room. his hands behind his back and his round tummy out front. Mrs. Claus entered the workshop with a cup of hot chocolate. She stood there for a moment watching Santa pace back and forth. "I brought you a drink, but I see something is wrong. Your eyes have lost their twinkle and your step has lost its bounce. What's bothering you?" Santa replied, "I'm worried. I haven't been able to come up with a new toy, and I'm afraid many of the children will be disappointed. Do you have any ideas?" Mrs. Claus smiled and said, "No, dear, I don't. But I'll go bake you your favorite apple blueberry pie. It may help you think of something, as well as add a little more jiggle to your belly." In a short time she returned. "Well, the pie's in the oven, and I had an idea while making the dough." "Well, you had an idea for a new toy? What is it?" Mrs. Claus says, "Well, it's not a new toy, but an idea about how to find one. Do you remember the other day when you were talking about some problems with some of the elves?" Santa replied, "Oh, you mean Leonardo, Ethan, Geraldine, and Othello? Yes, they don't seem to be enjoying their toy making. The noses on Leonardo's dolls are a little off center. Ethan's toy trains have lost their toot. And Geraldine's rubber balls don't bounce high enough. I have no idea what Othello is doing, and I don't think he has either. But how does that help my problem? I'm not sure, but maybe you could find a way for them to combine their talents. They could come up with a new toy." Said Santa. "That might work. Let me think about it after a piece of your pie and a good night's sleep." The next morning, Santa called the 4 elves into the workshop. "My elfin friends, I have a problem that I believe you can help solve. Leonardo, you are good with blocks. Ethan with colors, and Geraldine with small things. Othello, I'm not sure, but I'll bet you have hidden talents. So I want each of you to go to different parts of Imagination Island for 3 days and think about how best to use your talents. As you know, Imagination Island is south of here," he said with a chuckle. "Of course, since we're at the North Pole, everything is south of here." Santa let out a big ho, ho, ho. "I will assign 2 reindeer to each of you to pull a small sleigh to take you to the island." Santa continued, "While you're out there, I would like each of you to concentrate on the other's talents. Leonardo, please think about how colors can be used to make your blocks better. Ethan, how could your colors be used to make them stand out in small objects? Geraldine, think about what small shapes could take the forms of blocks. Lastly, Othello, see if you can come up with an idea how all of blocks, colors, and of small sizes fit together." The 4 elves all looked concerned because they were being asked to do something they were unfamiliar with. But they all wanted to please Santa, so they all harnessed their reindeer and started off in different directions, all south. On the morning of the 3rd day, Santa woke up to discover that a big storm was raging. Lots of wind and snow. "Oh my," he thought, "I hope the elves can make it back tomorrow. If we're going to have enough time to build a new toy before Christmas, we can't afford any delays." Santa didn't sleep well that night because he was worried about his elves. The next day, Leonardo came into the workshop. "I'm glad you're back. I was worried that the storm might have delayed you. Do you know where the other elves are?" "Yes, Santa, they're taking care of the reindeer. The storm was bad, but the reindeer knew what to do. The other elves will be in shortly." A few minutes later, the elves were all back in Santa's workshop. "So," said Santa, "what did you come up with?" All of the elves, except Othello, began talking at once. "Whoa, slow down, one at a time. Leonardo, you go first." "Well, Santa, I thought about the colors of blocks and the different colors in nature, such as black dots on otherwise yellow leopards, the different colors of fruits, oranges, apples, peaches, bananas, and all different colors of birds. This led me to thinking not about just rectangle, squares, and triangle blocks, but also different shapes, such as a block shaped like a tree, or a pear, or a circle, all of different colors." Santa smiled. "Very good, Leonardo. How about you, Ethan?" Ethan frowned. "All small objects already have colors, so I tried to envision colors that would attract the attention of children. My conclusion was that most small objects should not be just one color, but a variety of bright colors. For instance, a small house or car should have at least 4 different colors. Geraldine spoke next. When I was thinking about shapes, I could only think of a few flat surfaces that children would enjoy. Those were books and some puzzles. Everything else has to have something on top. A checkerboard without checkers is no fun. Even a coloring book needs crayons. Santa clapped his hands and chuckled. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, said Santa, your turn, Othello. Santa, I tried and tried to find the right toy, but I couldn't think of anything. Santa, with tears in his eyes, looked at Othello. But before he could say something to make Othello feel better, Othello spoke. But I was listening to Leonardo, Ethan, and Geraldine. I believe that if we could make something where a lot of small pieces of different colors and shapes that would snap together to build houses or cars, airplanes, or anything, the children would love it. Santa's belly began to jiggle. He jumped up from his chair and said, "That's it, and we should name it after all of you." But calling it Leonardo, Ethan, Geraldine, Othello is a little too much, so let's just use your initials, LEGO, and that's how Legos came to be.
Peter pushed away the sadness that had lingered ever since a car accident had killed his wife and baby son. He plodded to his 3-year-old daughter's room. Outside her door, he listened to her sing jingle bells to her stuffed tiger. When her song ended, she giggled. "Guess what, Tiger Lily? It's almost Christmas. We gets to have a pretty Christmas tree with lots and lots of lights. Mama will make mochi and ginger cookies. And we has to be very good or Santa won't leave us any presents." The wound in Peter's heart ripped open again. "Oh God," he thought, "show me a way to help her understand her mama and her baby brother aren't coming home. I've tried to explain, but nothing works." He stepped into her room. "Morning, little chickadee. Time to get up and have some of that Hawaiian sweetbread I made." Chrissy frowned as she wiggled into her clothes and asked, "How come Mama wasn't home to help you make it?" Peter's heart sank. She'd asked that question dozens of times since the car accident. "Remember, sweetheart, Mama and your baby brother have gone to live with our Heavenly Father." Chris's shoulders slumped. "I want our Heavenly Father to let them come home." "That's not how it works, sweetheart. When you go to heaven, you stay there forever." "Forever and ever?" "Yes, forever and ever." "But Daddy, I want them to come home." Sorrow tightened Peter's throat. "I do too, but Mommy and your little brother are dead, so they can't live with us anymore." "What is dead?" "How do I explain?" he thought. "Nothing I say makes sense to her." He sighed. "Let's go have breakfast." As he sliced the Hawaiian sweetbread, he noticed flies buzzing around the window. He grabbed a swatter, and soon 3 of them lay lifeless on the sill. He stared at them for a moment, thinking maybe the dead flies would help Chris understand. He picked her up and pointed to the lifeless bugs. "See, honey, the flies are dead. They will never fly again. Mama and Josh are dead too. They'll never walk or talk or dance or sing with us again until we see them in heaven." Chris studied the flies. Finally she said, "I can't see Mama and Joshy until I goes to heaven?" "That's right, little chickadee." "And the flies too?" Peter laughed. "Well, maybe, but we have to wait and see when we get there." He sat her at the table and handed her a slice of sweetbread. "After we eat, we'll visit your mama and your little brother's graves." Chrissy looked puzzled. "Is they there?" "No, honey. Their grave was their doorway to heaven, where we can tell them how much we miss them, especially now that Christmas is coming." "Does Santa bring them presents in heaven?" "Jesus gives them everything they could ever want. Still, we'll bring them Christmas flowers." An hour later, Peter turned his old Chevy into the cemetery and drove through the fog that shrouded the iron gate. He stopped his car near the grave and sat, letting the cemetery's tranquility ease his loneliness. Chrissy interrupted his thoughts. "Daddy, let's go find Mama's doorway to heaven." When they reached the grave, a ray of sunlight broke through the fog and glistened on the damp headstone. Peter stooped and placed a poinsettia beneath the gravestone. His voice cracked as he said, "Hi, sweetheart. Chris and I miss you so much. We came to share a bit of Christmas with you and your little boy." Chris tugged at Peter's coat. "Daddy, is there Christmas in heaven?" He ruffled her hair. "Of course, Christmas is Jesus' birthday." "Jesus has a birthday?" "He does. That's why Christmas is such a big deal." She clapped her hands. "Can we sing happy birthday to him on Christmas?" "Of course," Peter said, taking her hand. "It's time to go home." "Daddy, when we get home, can we put up our Christmas tree?" Peter took a deep breath. "Not this year, sweetheart. You and I are going to fly on an airplane to see your grandma and grandpa. We'll help them put up their Christmas tree and celebrate Jesus' birthday with them and with your aunts and uncles and cousins in Bremerton." Chris's face froze. "But Daddy, what if Santa doesn't know where I am?" "Santa knows how to get to your grandma and grandpa's house. He's been there lots of times." Chris's voice filled with panic. "But what if he comes to our house and I'm not there and he can't find me?" "I promise you, sweetheart, he'll find you." Chrissy's frown told Peter she was not convinced, but she wouldn't miss her mama and her baby brother so much if she spent Christmas surrounded by her other family. 2 weeks later, Peter stared out the plane window at the snow-covered Mount Rainier, its massive glaciers glinting in the sun. Little Chris sat beside him, coloring a picture of Rudolph and Santa in a sleigh full of toys. She yawned as she picked up the tiger and mumbled, "Don't worry, Tiger Lily. Daddy says Santa will find us at Grandma and Grandpa's." Peter squeezed her hand. "That's right. Rudolph will show Santa the way." Chrissy rubbed her eyes as she gazed at her tiger. "See, Rudolph knows how to get there." She stuffed her crayons back into the box and slowly drifted to sleep. A hushed ping went through the cabin, and the seatbelt lights blinked off. Peter gently shook Chrissy. "Wake up, little chickadee, we're here." He lifted her into his arms and slowly followed the other passengers to the terminal. A sense of peace settled over him as he spotted his mom and dad and his two sisters, Marge and Pat, with their kids in the throng waving at him. His heart lit up at the sight of Santa in the crowd, not too far from his family. "Look, chickadee, there's your grandma and grandpa, and Santa is right beside them." Chris's eyes got big. "It is Santa." Interesting, Peter thought. Santa is moving along with the family. He blinked. "Oh my gosh," he thought, "that's Pat's husband, Frank, behind that beard." He pointed. "Look, Chrissy, Santa's here to see you." "See me?" "That's right." And then Chrissy was swept into Santa's arms. She stared at his face, her eyes beaming. "Santa, you found me." "I did. And you must be Chrissy Mastel." As Santa talked with Chrissy, Peter fell into the healing hugs of his family and then pulled Pat to his side. "Where did Frank get the Santa suit?" "I made it. My heart broke when Mom told me Chrissy was worried Santa wouldn't find her. It's the best Christmas present ever for Chrissy and for me." Christmas Eve unfolded with the smells of apple cider, peppermint, and fir mingling with the joys of family traditions. The Christmas tree, heavy with tinsel and old ornaments, twinkled beside the old upright piano. Gifts were heaped under the tree. The nativity scene, arranged around fir boughs, graced the top of the piano, and Christmas melodies played on the hi-fi. After a festive dinner, Peter's huge family gathered around his mom. After she read the Christmas story, she handed out the family gifts from under the tree. Santa's gifts would be opened in the morning. When all the gifts were unwrapped, Chris's grandma tapped her watch. "Time for little ones to be in bed." Santa won't come until you're sound asleep. Resigned sighs were interrupted by the tinkle of bells and a knock on the door. Chris's grandma tried to keep a straight face. Who could that be? The bells tinkled again with another knock, and then ho, 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 as the door opened. Eyes lit up as Santa strode in, with a heavy velvet bag slung over his shoulder. Chris's grandma got up. Santa, you're awfully early. I heard there were some special children here, and there was one who was sure I wouldn't find her. Santa looked around and picked up Chris. Ah, there's my little doubter. He set her down and eyed all the kids. I know it's hard to wait until Christmas morning, so I brought you all something to tide you over until tomorrow. He put his bag down and peeked inside. Let's see what my elves packed. After each child unwrapped a brand new book and a wooden Christmas ornament, Santa nodded with satisfaction. He slung his empty bag over his shoulder and stopped at the door. I'll be back when you're asleep with more gifts. Then he shook his finger and said, remember, I'll always find you, no matter where you are on Christmas Eve. With another shake of his bells, Santa closed the door behind him. Chris climbed into her grandma's lap. Grandma, Daddy said it's Jesus' birthday. Can we sing happy birthday to him? Chris's grandma laughed. Of course. Some on key, some off key, sweet children's voices joined the adults in a spirited rendition of Happy Birthday. And so began a tradition that, as of this telling, lasted 47 years. Every Christmas Eve, Santa visits the Mastell house with early gifts and a book for everyone before he heads around the world. And to all my listeners, remember, there are 3 stages in a person's life. First, you believe in Santa. Then you don't believe. And finally, you are Santa.
On the first day of Christmas, me matey gave to me a doubloon straight from the sea. And on the second day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 2 shiny swords and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the third day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the fourth day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the fifth day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the sixth day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 6 treasure maps, 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the seventh day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 7 seas to sail, 6 treasure maps, 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the 8th day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 8 brand new hats, 7 seas to sail, 6 treasure maps, 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the 9th day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 9 dirty crewmates, 8 brand new hats, 7 seas to sail, 6 treasure maps, 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 brand new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the 10th day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 10 islands calling, 9 dirty crewmates, 8 brand new hats, 7 seas to sail, and 6 treasure maps, and 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the 11th day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 11 tummies growling, 10 islands calling, 9 dirty crewmates, 8 brand new hats, 7 seas to sail, 6 treasure maps, 5 golden earrings, 4 annoying parrots, 3 new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea. On the 12th day of Christmas, me matey gave to me 12 treasure chests, 11 tummies growling, 10 islands calling, 9 dirty crewmates, 8 brand new hats, 7 seas to sail, those 6 treasure maps, 5 golden earrings, those 4 annoying parrots, 3 brand new ships, 2 shiny swords, and a doubloon straight from the sea.
In a kingdom adorned with snow so bright lived a Scrooge, a character not quite right. He frowned at joy, scoffed at cheer, a grumpy old soul year after year. But in this tale of festive glee, a princess danced with a heart so free. Her laughter echoed, spreading delight, a beacon of joy shining so bright. One snowy eve, as the bells did chime, the princess thought it was the perfect time to teach old Scrooge a lesson rare, to share the joy and have love to spare. With twinkling lights and tinseled gold, she planned a party, a sight to behold. Surrounded by mirth beneath the tree, she aimed to set Scrooge's spirit free. He resisted at first with a stern, "Bah, humbug." But the princess, determined, just grinned and shrugged. Through carols and laughter and cookies so sweet, she worked her magic, a holiday feat. A transformation, slow but sure, as Scrooge's heart began to endure. The prince's spirit, like a gentle flame, melted his frost, and joy overcame. They danced and sang, a festive blend, as Scrooge found a new dear friend. In the twinkle of lights and the snow's soft caress, he discovered the magic of kindness, no less. So let this tale of Christmas delight echo through the kingdom, pure and bright. For even Scrooge, with a change of heart, can find joy and play a festive part.
I'm going to read a poem written by my wife, Georgianne Turner. She has passed away, but she was a great book reader in her time. And this is a poem that's not about Christmas, but it's about enjoying books. And it's called My Books. Red leather Dickens, paperback mysteries, literary anthologies, poetry and wit. Like family and friends, take up every space. Line up like soldiers, then pile up like so many drunks on a bender. Surround me like a warm feather duvet on a cold, wet night.
On a planet where one side was always light and one side was always dark, Whiz the hummingbird lived in a beautiful garden full of lovely flowers. The flowers were full of sweet nectar, which hummingbirds love. He enjoyed his garden. It was a wonderful place to live, full of light and beauty. It seemed to Whiz he had everything a young hummingbird could desire. He had a wonderful, loving family, a beautiful home, friends, and lots of things to do. He had everything except one thing: joy. The cause of this was unknown to him. Everything in his life appeared to be wonderful. But Whiz was looking for something more. At first, he tried getting more things. He thought that having lots of things would help him to feel that joy. He gathered every flower in the garden. Then he tried collecting leaves. All that he accomplished was to give himself more things to take care of, more responsibilities, and less time to do the things he enjoyed. He did feel a little better, but not joyous. Joy, he thought, is mysterious. It's hard to find and impossible to keep. That night he fell asleep, wondering if he would ever find the joy that he sought. During the night, Whiz had a dream about a bird. The bird he dreamt about was more luminescent than any bird Wiz had ever seen. It seemed to radiate love and joy. Yes, joy, the pearl that he was seeking. For a long time, the bird stayed, radiating love to him. Wiz was spellbound. The love emanating from the bird was so intense it was almost physical. He could feel it in every cell and atom of his entire being. As he watched, a glow began to appear in the area around the bird's heart. It became as clear as a star in the night sky. Wiz was filled with wonder and felt that the bird was trying to tell him something. He was filled with an understanding. He knew the answer. Joy comes from the heart, and he needed to listen to his heart to find it. When he awoke from the dream the following morning, Wiz was so excited. He couldn't wait to tell his friends about his dream. So just as if it had all been planned, Wiz ran to find his friend Zip. He wanted to tell him about his dream. But all Zip wanted to do was to go on an adventure, to fly in search of nectar at the very edge of the garden, and Zip was so very excited about it, but Wiz wasn't sure that that was a good idea. Zip finally convinced Wiz to fly with him to the edge of their garden, where the dark side meets the light side, and where the sweetest flowers grow. Although it was forbidden, Wiz agreed to go. Forgetting about his dream for now, he thought only about protecting his friend. As they flew along, Wiz felt more and more uncomfortable. He knew it didn't feel right. He went along with it just because Zip was his dearest friend. He saw the dark side coming closer and closer as they flew along together. Then Wiz had time to think, before Wiz had time to think about it again, something strange happened. All the light was gone. It was as if somebody had turned off a light switch. He felt confused and scared because he had never been in the dark before. He did not know what to do. It all happened so fast. He was alone in the dark, and he could not tell which way he had come from or where to go. Everything disappeared, including his best friend. He was terrified. Everything on the dark side was the same. Up, down, right, left. It was all dark. He could not see the light or the garden at all. When he was in the garden, it had been easy to see the dark side, but from the dark side, he could not see the light. Wiz was disoriented. He did not know where to go or what to do, and he wondered what had happened to Zip. Wiz flew on. He was tired and hungry. He missed his family, and he wished he had listened to their warnings about the dark side. All he wanted to do was go home, but he could not see where to go in this vast darkness. When he finally stopped to rest, he wondered if he would ever see his family again. During his sleep that night, Wiz dreamt about the luminous bird from his previous dream. As he looked at the area around the bird's heart, it began to glow, just as it had before. Wiz remembered the previous realization, and once again he decided to follow his heart. Wiz knew if he did, he would find his way home, and he was determined to do it. As Wiz awoke, he became aware of a noise. It sounded like the buzzing of hummingbird wings. He knew it was his friend Zip, so he followed the sound until he found him. They were so happy to be back together again. They spun around in circles and buzzed excitedly. When they finally calmed down, they realized that they still had to find their way home. Wiz told Zip about his dream. They agreed that Wiz would lead them to find their way home, using his new knowledge. Wiz tuned into his heart for his decisions. He just knew which way to go. They flew wingtip to wingtip for what seemed like days, but they kept very close so they would not get separated again. It was difficult to tell how much time had passed because of the darkness, but nothing would stop Wiz now. He was determined to find his way home, save himself and his friend. When Wiz flew one direction, there was a warm, joyous feeling in his heart. When he went other directions, it felt sad and empty. After many stops and starts, he began to get the hang of it. Every couple of minutes, he stopped to tune in. Then he flew in the direction that felt right. He liked the way it made him feel. Wiz had no idea how long they'd been flying in the dark. Finally, without any warning, they flew into the light. It was like bursting through a large, strong bubble. They popped through it into the light, and they were back home, safe in the garden. At first, all they could do was lay on the ground and keep their eyes closed tightly. They had been in the dark so long that the light actually hurt their eyes. They bathed their eyelids with dazzling patterns of color, which was beautiful. Eventually, they were able to open their eyes and see the light world again. The garden looked even more beautiful to them than ever. Everything was full of life and color. Their hearts leapt with joy to be back in their garden. The darkness was gone. They knew that they were lucky to be alive. Wiz was filled with such happiness and joy that they had found their way back from the dark side. He had finally found the answer he had been searching for. That joy comes from following what feels right in your heart. He decided right then and there he would always follow his heart and do what he felt was right. Hummingbirds from all over the garden rushed to see what had happened to them. They all listened attentively to Wiz and Zip's story, especially the part about how Wiz found his way back to the light side by listening to his heart. The other birds were so inspired by his story that they decided to try tuning into their hearts. Soon all the hummingbirds began using this secret. That's why all hummingbirds, who are very busy birds, always stop for just a few seconds. They're taking a quick moment to tune into their hearts. And that is why you never see a sad hummingbird. They all have become so good at following their hearts that they are the happiest, most joyous birds in the whole universe.
When I do my writing, I hope to have stories done before the hustle and bustle of the holiday season. And that hustle and bustle starts the Friday before Thanksgiving. The reason is that's when all the sales start and other duties have to be accomplished. But I find myself, while in the midst of the holidays, coming up with an idea to add to my fictional murder mysteries. And sometimes it has to do with putting together the plot to be more interesting and to keep the reader in suspense, which is the goal of my writing. Keep the readers in suspense until almost the very end so that they can figure for themselves there's more than one explanation for the crime, and there is probably more than one possible suspect. And that is the goal. During the holidays, I develop writer's block, and it's usually because when I'm in the middle of something, I get the phone call that says, "Are you ready to go to the party? Are you ready to go to dinner? Grandma is waiting for you. Oh, and your father said you need to come and help him cut down a tree at the tree farm." So that downtime is a perfect break because it lets me recharge while I am either cooking, pouring the drinks, or I'm actually sawing the tree.
Hello, Mark Miller here again with Kids Up Literary Artists and Writers. That wrapped up our annual Christmas show. This is going to be broadcast on Bremerton Kitsap Access Television. It should be broadcast on Saturday, sometime here in December. Later on they'll let me know exactly what date, and we'll try to put it up on the webpage. So check out Wave Cable is Sound, Channel 3 or Channel 70 on the new digital, or Comcast Channel 12, like I said, on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eventually you'll see this Christmas show. If it wasn't for the efforts of my publisher and her film division, Blue Forge, and also Bremerton Kitsap Access Television and their staff and studios, this presentation and these shows that we do a couple times a month would not exist. KLAW exists to help all types of artisans. Painters, writers, filmmakers, we don't care. We consider everything like that, anything creative, as art and can fit into the KLAW definition and part of the organization. So, we meet on the first and third Wednesdays of every month here at Denny's on Kitsap Way. The meetings usually start around 7 o'clock. We usually get here early, socialize, stuff our faces, things like that. So please, if you have any type of creative endeavors, swing on by. We don't bite. We don't have any communicable diseases that we know of. And as you can tell by this Christmas pageant, we also have, I would say, a lot of just basically nice people. And so with that, have a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Good evening.
Merry